So, for the longest time in the beat setting industry, the YouTube Type Beat channel has been the flagship of any successful beatmaker. However, in 2025, things are changing, whether it be the advances that are happening in AI, which is oversaturating our industry, and also the massive dropout that a lot of YouTubers in all sectors of YouTube are experiencing, these big dropouts in views. Well, in this video, I just wanted to quickly discuss a couple of patterns which I've noticed that have emerged from my own Type Beat channels and also from what I've been hearing in the industry to try and make sense of this all. What's happening? Is this just temporary? Is it just smoke without fire? Or is there something very concerning going on here in the beat setting industry? Well, hopefully we're going to answer that in this video, or at least open the topic of debate, because I feel like this is something that could potentially get worse. So I'm not trying to go all doom and gloom on this video just to make it more interesting. These are just my opinions, and feel free in the comments below to debate them as well. I can only go off of what I'm experiencing, but if you're watching this video because of the title, then maybe your YouTube Type Beat channel has been experiencing a drop in views, or maybe a lack of conversions. Well, there's a couple different angles we can go at this, and I'm going to discuss them all in this video right now. And we're going to start off by firstly looking at the patterns that have emerged on my YouTube channels. So firstly, we're looking at my main Type Beat channel. I've been running this since February 2022, a long time, and I've uploaded beats in all kinds of genres in that time. And this is a Type Beat channel which, even though it's nearly 1 million views, a large percentage of them have come from a couple of successful beats, like I'm sure a lot of you on here probably have had the same thing happen as well. I have a Taylor Swift type beat which is on 71,000 views, then I've got a Christmas beat on 51,000, and then after that they're all in the tens and the high thousands. But on average nowadays my views were getting between 200 to 300 a video, but this year they've dropped to 100, 200, sometimes even less. And there's a couple of reasons why that's happened, but firstly, you have to look at it visually on the graph. This is what the standard YouTube channel actually looks like, especially for someone who's been running a channel for a couple of years. As you can see, I started here, we picked up momentum, and then when we got to here, this is when things really started to take off, because when my Taylor Swift beat popped at this time of the year, it started to grow, I uploaded more Taylor Swift beats, I got a lot more views. However, sometimes what YouTube does is you get a lot of views, it finds your audience, then it just keeps you in that bubble. So as you can see, ever since the first year that I was uploading on this channel, I hit my ceiling and it's been stuck there ever since. I've uploaded hundreds of different types of beats, nothing has seemed to pop off except these little bumps here, which is something which has actually shown to be very effective in jumping over the ceiling short term. But before I discuss why I've got these big bumps in views and why it hasn't persisted, I have to talk about what's actually got me in this situation where this YouTube channel has stagnated. And a lot of the time that is just down to feeding information to YouTube over a long period of time, mixing up the beats and not having a defined niche. The problem I made with this channel was after I'd uploaded loads of Taylor Swift beats in junction with this beat doing really well, I stopped and I started branching out into different genres, trying to find stuff that worked. And unfortunately, because when you stop feeding YouTube enough data, eventually YouTube puts you in a bracket and it caps you. This is just my experience with over 8 channels that I have made in the past, and it happened on this one. And if your channel's looking like this, then it's very highly likely that you do not upload the same type of beat all the time. You may mix it up, trying to try different things, and it hasn't worked, and now this is a very saturated channel. And you might be thinking, well, does that mean I have to delete this channel? No, because of these bumps right here. This was actually when I've managed to target niches at the right time. And I'm talking about Christmas beats. So as you notice, these bumps happen every single December. We're coming up to another one now. And that's the only way I've been able to get this channel out of this kind of like rut that it's been in, where it's just completely plateaued, not gone anywhere, was by targeting, like at the time when I first started, very, very unchallenged, like uncompetitive niches, which was Christmas pop beats. Now it's a lot more competitive nowadays, and the reason for that is down to all kinds of things. How the barrier to entry as a producer is lower because of AI, and it's just in general easier to make music than ever. And of course, as time goes on, there are more beat makers nowadays, more beats, so it's just harder to rank higher, which is another big factor as to why it's harder for videos to get more views. Being super niche has allowed me to get these, and I'm going to touch more on these with other channels which provide better examples. But firstly, when you have a look at this one, this is my indie pop beats channel where I specifically upload indie pop beats, and this is another example of that ceiling where, because this is a very specific channel to indie pop beats, what I found is I cannot break through a ceiling anymore because I'm uploading the same beat which worked at first, but then YouTube finds you an audience and it just keeps you there. So again, another example how this is what YouTube does when you find a niche, and it's all about the size of the niche. And apparently for me and the type of indie pop beats I was uploading, this was the size of the audience, so it will never get any higher, but it just stays the same. So again, this is very normal behavior for a YouTube type channel. Now, what's really interesting is I want to talk about a YouTube type channel where it goes wrong. And this is my pop ballads. And this is when being niche doesn't go well, because I thought if I upload all my emotional pop ballad beats and I go for the niche of pop ballad, it should do really well. But the thing I found very quickly was there's a lot of variety within pop ballads. You've got obviously like the more emotional side if you want to do SEO on the emotion of it, like sad, mellow, emotional, and then there's also the whole side of acoustic or piano, and then there's also different type artists as well, which is fine. However, it was still too broad, and it got to a stage where I was uploading a certain type of pop beats, went really well, pop ballads. As you see, this channel was growing really nicely, and then one day engagement dropped off a cliff, didn't change anything at all, and ever since then YouTube has dropped me back down to this really low ceiling, to the point where I've now basically given up on this channel. And this is something which is very bizarre. Sometimes you can't control it, but it happens. So it doesn't matter sometimes if you're in the right niche. So you might be thinking, well, that isn't helpful because you just told us to be niche, but then you've just shown us that niche doesn't work. But again, the reasons I say was it just wasn't niche enough. Clearly I was too broad, and even though it works short term, sometimes YouTube will just test the waters with your content, and if it doesn't find a definitive audience, it spits you out. So this is what happened here. It chucked me into the pond trying to see if anything nibbled, and when they were satisfied with what they think is an interesting party to like have a look at my beats, it then just spat me out and just showed me to a smaller group of people for the rest of the time. So this can happen when you do YouTube type channels. Now the next example is when it goes well. So after this failure, I started a sad pop type beat, and we've been super specific to sad pop type beat. And as you can see here, we started this in May, and this channel's only been growing because I've tried to be super specific to the SEO. Now again, this will hit a ceiling at some point, but at the moment it's growing, and this is seems to be the pattern that all YouTube type channels follow nowadays. You just need to find what the ceiling is for your niche idea for your channel, and it can work. And another example as well is being more seasonal. So this is my Christmas type beats, which again, we're just approaching Christmas. This is a different type of channel altogether because this views will drop off a cliff when Christmas is over, but every single Christmas the views start to go up, and again we're going to find out what the ceiling is. So the reason why I tell you this is because all YouTube type channels nowadays do have a ceiling. You never see a video get over 1 million views anymore, and if it does, you got very lucky, because ever since the changes in watch time, it's just been an uphill battle trying to get more, even for the bigger creators, more than 50,000 views. But now we've discussed the patterns of a YouTube type channel and what's common in 2025, it's really important to touch on why the views are actually down in general, and why at the same time your sales might be down as well, and which is when we got to touch on the effect that AI is having on the music industry. As I touched on earlier in this video, since AI has come in, it is lowering the barrier for entry. A long time ago, obviously if you had a DAW, you could produce music, but it doesn't mean that the song's made for you. And on top of that as well, AI is actually making beats, and there's a massive amount of AI beats and AI music in general on YouTube, Spotify, and what that means is the market's getting rapidly oversaturated, which is a big problem for us beat sellers, making it harder to rank, meaning that the views for the market side are getting distributed more, meaning everyone in general is getting less views. So it is normal right now to be experiencing less views, but the thing that's very concerning is how long is this going to go on for, and if it eventually does settle, what are we going to be left with? Are we going to be left with a situation where the beat selling industry is so oversaturated with beats that everyone is getting a smaller slice of the pie when it comes to traffic, where it's so hard to rank high that the only people who are actually ranking high are more established beat makers who've been in the game a long time, so have that extra viewership to be able to rank higher? in amongst all the AI jargon that's going on and other beats, or we're going to get a case where the whole AI side of things just takes over completely to the point where artists are just looking for the cheapest possible option when producing music, so the beat sellers are completely disregarded and everything's just produced AI, to the point where the actual market itself decreases in the amount of artists in it. At this point, comment below to let me know what you think. Is AI actually going to take over the beat selling industry and make the job of a beat seller null and void? Well, to answer the question, the thing that's really going to help beat sellers going forward to not fall into this trap and to bear the effects of a lower barrier to entry to produce music is to really focus on the brand, because when AI is in full effect, the only thing it cannot replicate is yourself. You are the USP, you are the niche. So in the next couple of years, it's going to be very normal for producers to be a lot more involved in the actual content of the beats, establishing relationships with artists. And that's when stuff like email marketing is going to become so much more effective, because again, email marketing, you are getting artists in your own bubble, which cannot be sidetracked by other beat stores or any other content which is out there. So as you roll in 2026, I want you to be very mindful of how it is you are promoting yourself at the moment. Do you think you could be doing more to sell yourself as a producer? Or are you someone who's just uploading beat to beat every single day and just hoping something sticks? Because believe it or not, that is the vast majority of beat sellers out there. I even fall victim to it sometimes, which I really should do better at. That method is not going to work in 2026 and onwards. I just don't think it will. The days of just uploading a beat and it going viral are pretty much gone, other than the rare exception. So to conclude this video, I think it's really important that the YouTube Type channel isn't something you rely on unless you're methodical, you're niching yourself, you're branding yourself a lot better and making yourself stand out in the most unique way possible. And a couple ways you can do that is maybe try showing your face more. Maybe do beat breakdown tutorials, have an email marketing list where you're very involved, even having something like a Discord or a Patreon where you can have your own community build. Or if you want to try be ahead of curves, try and start investing your stocks in up and coming artists so you can be the first to make beats in that style. If you consider these things, I'm definitely sure you will have a more successful year as a beat seller than you have this year. So yeah guys, that's a video. Let me know your thoughts on all of this, and even if you disagree with me, I'll be really open to any sort of debate in the comments below, because again, this is not gospel. This is all just my opinion based on my experiences in the industry. You may have a different experience, which if you can shed light on that, that would be amazing and help the whole beat selling community in general. But yeah, thank you so much for this video. Keep making music and I'll see you in the next video.